Good afternoon. I'm Chris Cooney, President of the Metro South Chamber of Commerce. It's my pleasure to welcome you here to the Chamber's offices of the former Thomas Edison power plant. We want to welcome you here to our regularly scheduled Legislative Affairs Committee meeting. We usually meet the second Tuesday of every month. Today's an exception for the purpose of this forum and debate. Metro South Chamber of Commerce is comprised of about 1,000 companies in 18 communities, with Brockton being at the center. This forum features the 3 Democratic candidates for state representative for the 9th Plymouth District. This seat was recently vacated by Senator Tom Brady, who won the senatorial race. The primary vote is scheduled for February 2nd, which is Groundhog Day. I encourage everyone to get out there and vote. And then the general election is on March 1st. Seating is limited. We ask you to refrain from speaking or eating or making any types of noise while the recording is being taped for cable access television. We ask you at this time to shut off all pagers and cell phones. Thank you. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our MC and moderator today, Ray Ledoux, who's our Chair of Government Affairs. Ray?
Well, thank you, Chris, and welcome everyone. At this time, we will ask you to welcome the Democratic candidates for the state representative seat of the 9th Plymouth District, Shirley Asack, Shana Barnes, and Jerry Cassidy. The candidates will be introduced in the order of the drawing results held before the forum and will stand until all are present. Our first candidate here to be introduced is Shirley Asack. Shirley is a lifelong resident of Brockton and currently serves as the Ward 7 City Councilor. She's a small business owner in Brockton and a graduate of Brockton High School. She studied business leadership and fashion design in Paris, France, and is fluent in French. Shirley is a married mother of 2 daughters who attend Brockton Public Schools. Please welcome Shirley Asack. Shana Barnes currently serves as a Brockton City Councilor at large and serves as district representative for Congressman Stephen Lynch. She has been a Brockton resident for the past 33 years. After graduating from Cardinal Spellman High School, she received her degree in criminal justice from Northeastern University and later returned to Northeastern in pursuit of a graduate degree in justice administration. Shana began her professional career at the Plymouth County District Attorney's Office as a victim witness advocate. Next, we have Jerry Cassidy. Jerry Cassidy has worked as a legislative aide at the Massachusetts State House for over 28 years. He is currently an aide to Senator Mike Brady and was the former legislative aide to the late Senator Tom Kennedy. Mr. Cassidy served 2 terms as a Ward 3 City Councilor in Brockton from 2000 to 2003. He is a long-standing Democratic City Committee member and is a lifelong Brocktonian. He is married to Megan Cassidy, and they have 2 children who have recently completed their college degrees. Thank you and welcome. If you please be seated. A reminder that the primary will be February 2nd. Polls will open at 7 a.m. and will be open until 8 p.m. Before we begin today's candidates forum, I will review the ground rules that have been established for today's forum. Number 1, in order for opening remarks, the order for opening remarks and for questions and answers and closing remarks has been based on drawings that the candidates did earlier today. Opening remarks will last 2 minutes each. Responses to questions will be 1 minute each. Time will be kept by Athena Lavoie from the Chamber staff, who is presently seated in the front row. Candidates will be alerted of their remaining time at 30 seconds and 15 seconds with signs held up by our timekeeper. We ask that closing remarks remain 1 minute each. The audience does not participate in this forum. There is an opportunity to submit questions was offered in advance, and we have those questions here before us. We will now begin with opening remarks, and I remind that each candidate and ask that each candidate keep their opening remarks to 2 minutes. So, in order with the drawing, Ms. Asack, you won first, so if you'd like to begin with your opening remarks.
Thank you. I'm not sure if I won, but thank you very much. Thank you to the Chamber for hosting this event today. My name is Shirley Asack, and I currently serve as your Ward 7 City Councilor. But my experience for this state representative position started a long time ago. I have 25 plus years of service and dedication to the city of Brockton. My involvement with my church community is where it all started. I also served on many school PACs, as well as being a small business owner has given me the experience to really apply for this position and to be elected as the next state representative. I would like to continue to serve my community, and having spent many years building bridges between the communities that make up Brockton. For example, there's a camp, which is, I will speak about that later, sorry, I messed up. We have a very diverse community, and I have looked forward to representing our diverse community. I bring the asset of being multilingual. I am a multilingual candidate and know what it's like to communicate with our community, with people that have a language barrier. So, once again, I'm running to represent the whole city of Brockton. I attend many meetings, whether it's with the business community. I attend the Montello Business Association as well as the Downtown Business Association meetings. And I believe these meetings, when I attend them, I find out what's important to them and what I need to do to help bring their issues to a different level. So I'm looking to bring this to the state level. And my time's up. Thank you very much. I'm Shirley Azak.
Thank you, Ms. Azak. Ms. Barnes.
Thank you, Ray. And I would like to thank the Chamber, UMass, the attendees, and BCA for having us here today, hosting us here today as we try to discuss with you our reasons we are running to be the next state representative for the 9th Plymouth District here in Brockton. As Ray mentioned, my name is Shana Barnes. I am currently Councilor at Large, recently re-elected with over 5,600 votes in the community of Brockton to represent the entire city of Brockton on the City Council as Councilor at Large, and I am currently running, like I just said, to be the next state representative for the 9th Plymouth District in the election that will be held February 2nd. I feel that I am first qualified to represent this particular area of Brockton. This area of Brockton was actually designed to be a minority-majority district to allow someone of color to be able to go to that state house and to represent everyone that is in the city of Brockton. We are designated a majority-minority community, and there are certain fundamental issues that go on in our communities that we have to make sure that we build a bridge to. And I want to be a partner with the community and also with our state government. Yesterday, I was actually at the State House all day, meeting with the Speaker DeLeo, several senators, attending several of the Senate meetings, and I was listening to some of the issues that they brought forward. And Brockton is right at the forefront of this. We need to really get ahead, and I will be the piece of the puzzle that works really collaboratively with our current delegation of State Representatives Dubois and Cronin and State Senator Michael Brady. I will fit into that puzzle very well in advocating to make sure that Brockton gets its fair share and that we continue to get resources back into our city, much needed resources that I feel that we've lacked for some time. So again, my name is Shana Barnes. I will be discussing with you later on a little bit more about myself and my platform, but thank you very much for having us.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes. Mr. Cassidy.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you to the Metro South Chamber of Commerce for hosting this important forum. My name is Jerry Cassidy. I live on Woodard Ave with my wife and 2 children. I am running for this office because I believe I am the most qualified candidate to serve the residents of the 9th Plymouth District of Brockton. I am asking for your support, most importantly your vote on February 2nd. I was born and raised in Brockton. I am a product of Brockton Schools and graduate of Brockton High. My wife and children are also graduates of Brockton High. I'm a former 2-term city councilor from Ward 3. I am and always will be a proud Brocktonian. Most importantly, I believe the experiences and knowledge I gained working over a quarter of a century with the late, great State Rep and Senator Tom Kennedy will be a powerful asset to the 9th Plymouth District. For more than 25 years, I was Tom's constant companion and confidant. I would often represent him at important meetings at the State House in Brockton with constituents. Tom and I worked side by side, attending many sessions, meetings, and hearings together. We discussed many important issues and possible solutions over the 25 years. At the State House, we allowed to see firsthand the issues that are important to the residents of the 9th Plymouth District. A quarter of a century of work has allowed me to form relationships in the district and the State House. My experience and professional network will allow me to hit the ground running as a state representative. I believe this will allow me to be the most effective in bringing more money back to Brockton for our schools, police, and fire departments. I will fight to fund for our schools brought the levels required by the Hancock case so that the Brockton students have the same advantages as students from affluent communities. I will fight for more funding for our police and fire departments so that we will be safe in our homes and our streets. I will strongly support continued economic redevelopment of the downtown areas and continued funding for support of the Mayor's excellent downtown plan.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cassidy. I'd like to congratulate the candidates. You did a pretty good job of staying within the 2 minutes. The next round is a little bit more rapid. Fire, you're going to be asked to give a response in 1 minute, please. And the first set of questions are developed by the Metro South Chamber. The second set of questions are those given to us by constituents. So they will go in the order in which the drawing was held earlier. And Ms. Barnes, you'll be given the first question, which is on business activity in Brockton. In light of the recent investments in downtown Brockton, what initiatives would you, as a state legislator, support to bolster business activity here in the city?
Well, actually, I would support the current program that our city planner is actually enacting. He was able to secure a $50,000 grant for the restaurant incubator project that we're trying to start here. I would definitely also be an advocate and be a partner with other businesses in trying to make sure that I market Brockton and I leverage the assets that Brockton has with these businesses and making sure that they come here, making Brockton as attractive as it can be so that we can build our revenue base and build our commerce so that one day we can kind of maybe even be like a Foxborough. Look at Foxborough. Foxborough has one of the lowest tax rates in the state of Massachusetts, and it's because of all of the businesses that are there. And I think we can do that. We have the landscape, we have the buildings, we have the parcels, we have the property. We just need to make sure that we are partnering and that we are out there advocating for the city of Brockton and making sure that we bring these businesses here, and then also making sure that the businesses we have here, that we value them and that we are able to give them the incentives that they need in order to stay here and to be successful.
Great, thank you, Ms. Barnes. Mr. Cassidy, same question.
Regarding the downtown, we need to continue to push for the downtown collaborative, college collaborative. This governor hasn't been as receptive as we had thought. I know all the delegation will work together to make this happen. At the very least, we should put the Allied Health Center of Massasoit downtown. It's a perfect fit. I envision students' internships at the Neighborhood Health Center. Moving the Allied Health Center downtown, that'd be a great area as soon as you come into Brockton, just visually, it'd be awesome. Also, I've been talking to the DA, having his office move over to the federal building right next to the parking garage, where 75 state police from the Middleborough barracks would be located here. Just the police presence downtown would be a very good improvement.
Thank you, Mr. Cassidy. Ms. Azak.
Thank you. This is my favorite question. Yes, we do have a city planner that has a lot of plans for the downtown, for Brockton in general, and we need to focus on the downtown collaborative, because if we don't get this downtown collaborative, we can spend all the money, get all the grants, but unless we get different foot traffic in here, a different clientele that's going to spend money in our businesses, they're not going to stay in business. I'm a business owner, and I know the best way to stay in business and flourish is to bring in a good clientele and somebody that's going to spend money in the businesses. So we need this downtown college collaborative. That will be the first thing I do if I'm successful as your state representative. I will fight for it. We need it. There's no way it cannot happen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next question we'll ask Mr. Cassidy to start with. This is about the relationship with local and state officials. If elected, how would you plan to work with local officials and your colleagues in the legislature to advance your constituents' concerns?
Just over the last 28 years, I've had working relationships with a number of colleagues in the State House and here in the city. Former mayors and present mayors are. I can speak to anybody. As I've learned through the years that we always have an open door policy. Plans, I would listen to everybody as far as their concerns go, and we could, even home rule petitions, we could work on those immediately, because I have a working relationship with the members of the Senate and the House members.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Azak?
Thank you. I already have working relationships with my fellow colleagues, my city council colleagues, as well as our mayor, and I'm all about working together and moving the city forward. As far as the, Brockton has 2 other state representatives, Michelle Dubois and Claire Cronin, which I have, also professional relationships with them, where I feel very comfortable to be able to sit down with them, talk to them about the issues that our districts are facing and what we need to do as a team and as a Brockton delegation to get the job done for our city, for our community.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Barnes?
I definitely recognize the need to be a collaborative partner with our delegation. And one other thing that I'm learning during this race is that we also need to collaborate with the other 350 cities and towns and the legislators in those areas and those senators. That's what we need to do. What happens in Brockton, it's not just a funnel or a vacuum, what happens in Brockton. What happens in other places, it doesn't just happen there. It reverberates, and we have to make sure that we are all working together to make things happen for everybody, because what goes good in another place goes good for us, and vice versa. So, like I said, just yesterday I had an hour-long meeting with the Speaker of the House, Robert DeLeo, and we mentioned a lot of different things that are going on in Brockton, and he and I, we collaborated on some things and kind of put some things in place. But I've also had meetings, long discussions with several state representatives, Representative Russell Holmes, State Senator Linda Dorsina-Forey, State Senator Sonia Chang Diaz, and also with the Boston City Council and in the person of Councilor Ayanna Pressley. So these are the things that I have been doing and setting the groundwork for when I get in on February 2nd. They're ready to work with me. We already have ideas ready to go. We just need to be able to do that officially, and that's what I'm doing, working collaboratively with the entire State House.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is on the commercial tax rate, something that's near and dear to the business community in the chamber. So you'll be asked, Ms. Azak, to give the first response. What role do you think a state legislator should play related to the discussion over the settling of a commercial tax rate and its impact on attracting business development?
Well, as you know, the City Council plays a large role in the tax rate and the tax factor. And I have to bring it back to the City Council because I was actually one of the few councilors that voted for the residents not to bear the burden with the tax factor, and I would like to see it be pretty equivalent with the commercial rate. The reason it is we can't put the burden totally on the residents because that will not help our businesses. We need the residents to spend money in our businesses. We need them to flourish. We have a lot of people in Brockton that are on fixed incomes, and that's very important. I would love to see a lower tax rate, but I think it has to go, we have to be more creative. We have to offer something to our businesses, whether not just a low tax rate, but clean streets. We have to bring different foot traffic, a different clientele to them. So there's different ways to attract besides just a lower tax rate. A few $100s is not a lot of money for a business, but for residents, that's food on their table. So, we need to relook at the formula and how we lower the tax rate.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Barnes.
Yes, thank you. Nobody wants to raise taxes, and as a member of the legislative body in Brockton, that was a very, very difficult thing that we had to do. And it's sometimes unpopular, but we have to look long-term. We can Band-Aid things just so much before the Band-Aid starts to get a little old and sticky and unsticky and it falls off. So we need to be able to position ourselves as the city that we know we can be for the future and make sure that we can attract and be as attractive to other businesses to come into this community. Yes, we need to work in other ways and make sure that we have a formula together in having the businesses come in. But if we can't even just on its face use our leverage to have the businesses come in and offer these kind of incentives to them, it's not going to draw foot traffic. We're not going to get more people. We're going to have more broken windows. We're going to have more empty industrial parcels like we have now. We have to leverage what we have in the appropriate fashion. And unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't really balance out, but if we look long-term, it's definitely something that I think that when we have more businesses here in Brockton, we can alleviate some of the tax burden on the residents. And another thing we have to worry about, too, going forward, we don't want a big spike in our tax increase on either side, because it hurts everybody. So we have to make sure that we do it gradually, and eventually it will catch up.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes. Mr. Cassidy?
Thank you, Ray. I believe that our job as a legislator is to go out throughout the whole state and beyond. Companies that come into our office, they're looking to build, production plants in different parts of the state. I want them to come here to Brockton to offer them TIFs, tax incentives. That would be a wonderful thing I would do. I have a lot of relationships over the years that they believe that the Mayor Carpenter is doing a very good job in enticing businesses to come locate here in Brockton. And, just all a big piece of the pie that we need to take care of this. And I would make connections there with the businesses and, outside of Brockton and, grow the city.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cassidy. Our next question will be from Ms. Barnes to start. It's on healthcare as the largest employer industry sector. So, Ms. Barnes, what will you do to strengthen the region's largest industry sector, healthcare? How will you connect with this industry and have an impact on its growth and contributions of jobs and investment going forward?
Well, in my position as the district representative for Congressman Lynch, our office, we have a very close relationship with the health center and with the two hospitals here in Brockton. He's very supportive of the initiatives of the health center, and I stand with him on his positions on that. I would definitely advocate, using my relationships with this office and the federal government, make sure that I use my leverage in order to be the strongest advocate that I can be for any kind of grant funding that goes on, expansion projects, any kind of actually labor issues, also with some of the nurses and the physicians. Those are things that I've actually already done as, I guess, a surrogate for my boss in some way or form. But as the state legislature, that would be my position to make sure that I would go out and advocate to make sure that we can grow that industry as well. It's very important to the city of Brockton. You just mentioned it. It's one of the bigger employer base that we have here. So we have to make sure that we honor that and that we make sure we fight for that and be a partner and an advocate for that.
Mr. Cassidy?
Thank you. I'm very honored to have the Mass Nurses Association endorse me. That's quite an honor. They're very wonderful people. What I would do is have the new Allied Health Center of Massasoit move downtown Brockton. I think that would be a wonderful thing to do, because nurses, people who are striving to be nurses, learning over Massasoit, they have to wait in line because they're shut out of classes. Not only that, that's jobs. If we have people here in the city that become nurses, they need to have the education from this new facility that I'm hoping will open fairly soon.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Zasak?
Thank you very much. I will continue to do what I have been doing, and that's opening up lines of communication between ourselves, between local government and, the healthcare industry, meeting with them, seeing what their issues are, and bringing their issues to a different level, and just advocating for them. I can't stress that enough. I ran on being accessible, open, and transparent, and I would continue to do that by being, meeting with them and hearing what the issues are. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question will be started by Mr. Cassidy, and this is about state commitments to Brockton. The Patrick administration promised to build a new higher education building in downtown and an allied health building at Massasoit Community College. Do you agree that these projects should go forward, and if so, what role would you play in that effort?
First of all, I would definitely advocate for the College Collaborative, but if that's not on the table, as Jay Ash, the Housing Economic Development Secretary, said last week, because of some budget constraints, I would definitely see if that's really going to happen, and then we should move forward with the Allied Health Center downtown. It's well needed, and we just need to have this done.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Azak?
Well, definitely the College Collaborative, I can't stress that enough, because so much relies on that College Collaborative. We have other businesses that are on hold because they, they're not moving on with their business, a lot of empty storefronts, so we can't let this College Collaborative slip, slip through the cracks. I served on the City Council's Real Estate Committee when we sold the building on Main Street to the state, and something has to be done there, and it has to be the College Collaborative.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Barnes?
Yes, I think this is one thing we will all agree. Just one thing, though, I don't believe that this is a done deal or that it's not on the table. I think that's an unacceptable position to take. We need to fight, and we need to make sure that we get that money back. And that's what I spoke to Speaker DeLeo about yesterday. And he's very much aware of what's going on. And I mentioned to him how we had the opening, the ceremony, and the unveiling of the design, and then all of a sudden the money was kind of held up. And from what I understand, the project is on life support, so it's not a dead deal. We need to make sure that we have the right people going in there and fighting for what we are supposed to have to make sure that Brockton can be as competitive in 2016 and going forward as we can be. And with regard to the nurses, the Allied Center, I definitely think that it would be beneficial at Massasoit where it's originally planned. That the proximity to the students and how things happen, that would be something that I think would be very beneficial to that particular area of Brockton, and developing that area in conjunction to building what the main campus at the Ganley building. We need to make sure that we take a double-sided view of this and surround our city with development, again, to be more attractive to people that want to come here. When they see a lot of things happening, that looks good to them, and they say, I want to be a part of that, and that's how we do that. So I would definitely go back in and fight, like I did yesterday with the Speaker and the Senators, to make sure that we get this project here.
Okay. Now, the next question is on, if you're elected, what House committee would you like to serve on, or committees? So the first response will be given by Ms. Azak. So Ms. Azak, if you're elected, or any of you are elected, what state House committees would you like to be appointed to as a new state representative, and why? How will you benefit Brockton in your service if successfully appointed, and what skills can you bring to those committees?
Okay. Education, public safety, and I would like to say Ways and Means, but because I know that's a very important committee, but it's not common for a freshman, for somebody new that would be put on there. As far as why education and public safety, education is the key to everything. Educating our kids from when they are at a young age right up into the college years. I mean, that covers so much. If we educate the community, we have less crime, we have cleaner streets. I mean, education just goes to all levels. And serving on that committee, I would be able to know firsthand of what is available as far as funding, advocating to make sure that the money comes back to the city of Brockton. We need to bring in more funds. We can't afford to lose any. We're not getting enough funding now as it is, and I will fight for it. I will fight to keep the funding coming to the city of Brockton.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Barnes?
Can you just repeat that question? It was
Certainly, I'd be happy to.
Okay.
If you're elected, what state House committees would you seek to be appointed to as a new state representative, and why? How will Brockton benefit from your service if successfully appointed, and what skills can you bring to those communities?
Excellent, thank you. Several things that I'm actually really passionate about. It's criminal justice reform, child welfare reform, and equal pay for equal work. So I'm not sure where the last one would fit in, but I would definitely raise my hand first if we're kind of just passing out assignments. But with regard to the criminal justice reform and child welfare, that's my background. That's where I come from. I worked in the district attorney's office. I worked with DYS and DCF. So those are things that I have a foundational knowledge on that I feel that I can contribute significantly to those particular committees. And I think that that would come back to Brockton because in my position as city councilor that I would retain once elected, that I would be able to be that direct line of communication right from the State House. The directives that come from the State House, they come straight to the city council, straight to the residents of the city of Brockton in the 9th Plymouth District. So that's how I feel that I would be able to best serve and be, not an advocate,
Thank you.
but to help my community.
Great, thank you. Mr. Cassidy?
I would choose public safety, as I've gone around knocking on doors. That's the #1 concern in the people in the city. It's the crime in the city. Public safety is #1, bringing state police downtown Brockton and throughout the neighborhoods. People are fed up with it, and we need to fund even more Shannon grants. So public safety would be my #1. #2, Ways and Means. I've talked to some other representatives, and they've said that there have been other freshmen who've been on Ways and Means. I've, served in the legislature area as an aide for 28 years, and just my knowledge of the Ways and Means, I would strive for those two, and then education would be my third.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cassidy. The next question, we'll ask Ms. Barnes to lead off, and this is on something that's in the newspaper quite often, the Brockton Resort Casino. So, do you believe the Brockton Casino proposal should go forward, and if so, what will you do to actively support the effort to get the State Gaming Commission to issue a license to operate a Brockton Resort Casino?
Well, when the proposal, when it first came to Brockton, I attended actually all of the hearings that I could, that I was available to attend, from the Rush construction group to some of the anti-groups with BIC and some of the community groups. And I formed an opinion then that I was against this particular project coming into the city of Brockton. And I stand firm on that right now. The recent, or actually the more information I get actually about the project as a whole, I do not think that this is an appropriate project for the city of Brockton. I think that it's a predatory industry, and I think that if it comes into the city of Brockton, it would really be detrimental. There are several things that, like I said, that have come to light, particularly one thing that really bothers me about the other businesses and local mom and pop stores and some of the other businesses in the area. There's a practice called capturing every dollar. And what that does is if people are in the casino and they're there for, several hours or enjoying a show or gambling or doing whatever, they're not going to leave the facility to maybe go down to a JJ's or a George's to eat. They're going to stay there, and they're going to eat there. They're going to consume all of the resources there in that building, which will completely hurt the other businesses in that area. And that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build Brockton. So I don't know if the Gaming Commission, if they're going to grant the license to Brockton anyway, with the competition so close and just some other things. So I stood against it then, and I firmly stand against it now.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Barnes. Mr. Cassidy?
I know with the Gaming Commission yesterday, they had their meeting regarding delivering this. The Wampanoags, they're trying to figure out what they want to do. The Gaming Commission really doesn't want to have, I don't believe they want to have a casino in the area, which I agree. It's just the wrong thing to do. At this point, we're fighting for Brockton. If it was to happen, I would fight for the neighborhood in the area, for the streets, the construction in the area, and fighting for traffic. I mean, if it was to happen. But I just don't believe the Gaming Commission is going to, appoint this to Brockton.
Okay, so Mr. Cassidy, do you support whether the project should go forward or not, the casino?
It's up to the Gaming Commission.
Okay. Ms. Azak?
I'm going to answer that question. Should it go forward? Yes, it should go forward because the residents of the city of Brockton voted for it. And if we don't respect that vote, then I don't know why we have local government. The city councilors voted to have it go to a referendum to allow the people who live in the city to vote on whether they want this to come in or not. And it is a large business. Everybody views it differently. I weighed the pros and cons, and that's what I believe everybody did before they went out to vote. And the vote was yes, the state needs to, right now, decide on whether they're going to give us this license or not, because we can't do any more of these big projects without anything coming to fruition. We have to know what the answer is and get it going, because if we don't respect the vote of the people of the city of Brockton, then we shouldn't have, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. The people voted for it. Whether I personally was for it or not, that doesn't matter. It's what the people of the city decided.
Okay, thank you. The next question is a rather long question. I'd be happy to repeat it for anyone. And this is on workforce training, and Mr. Cassidy will ask you to take the lead on this one first. So, over the objections of many business organizations, the legislature adopted a temporary revenue stream on the backs of Massachusetts businesses for creation of a workforce training fund. Today, over $22 million is collected annually. Do you feel that this program is fulfilling its intended mission, and how long do you think that the program will be necessary?
I know in the governor's State of the State last night, he is going to fully fund and actually even put more money into the workforce development. That's what we need here in the city of Brockton. We need to have people who need to go back to work have the right tools to go back to work. We're a very diverse community, and it's a wonderful city, and people just need to have jobs that good wages. And like the governor said, we need to fully fund and put more money into workforce development.
Okay, Ms. Azak?
Yes, that's definitely, if we can put more money into it, we need to educate our the people that are looking for jobs. We need to, encourage them, teach them, and educate them, because possibly if they've been out of work for a while, they need a new direction, they need a new, a new skill. So I'm all about putting the money in there to empower our workforce development. We do have a great program here in the city of Brockton, and it would just enhance it. They do amazing work with the people of the city of Brockton.
Great, thank you. Ms. Barnes?
Could you just repeat that question? There's
Certainly.
a piece.
Over the objections of many business organizations, the legislature adopted a temporary revenue stream on the backs of Massachusetts businesses for the creation of a workforce training fund. Today, over $22 million is collected annually. Do you feel that this program is fulfilling its intended mission? And how long do you think that the program will be necessary?
Thank you. I think at the time it was appropriate and it was necessary, but what my job would be as a state representative is to look for alternatives and to maybe alleviate some of that strain that you mentioned that's on the backs of the businesses. And recently I was actually contacted by the Urban League in Boston, and they are looking to come into Brockton to do Corey-friendly job fairs, to do skills training, and to work with our BayWib and work with Sheila Jardine and making sure that our workforce that we have here, it's homegrown. We have the people here. We just need to get them trained and get them jobs and get them some available opportunities. So they're looking to come to Brockton, and again, like I said, they contacted me, and they wanted to make sure that I was the one to help them partner with the city of Brockton, with BayWib, to get those services out to the people that we service here. And I think if that happens in time, we'll be able to alleviate that program and ease some of the burden on the workforce, the employers.
Great, thank you. I want to congratulate all of you because you're keeping us right moving forward at a quick pace and well within our time frame, and I'd like to thank you for that, and we appreciate that. Now the questions as we go forward, these are the questions that have been drafted by some constituents, and it's kind of noticeable that some of their questions are longer than the Chamber's questions. So, and I'd again be happy to repeat these should you like me to. The first question we're going to ask Ms. Azak to take the lead on, it's on human services. So the human service system and its network of provider agencies in Massachusetts is strained nearly to the breaking point. Brockton is a regional center for human service support and to those in need in housing, general assistance, and health care. This creates a disproportionate cost to the community compared to some of our surrounding towns. As state representative, what will you do to ensure that state assistance comes to Brockton and helps cover the cost of providing these services?
Definitely, I would be advocating to get more funding for the city of Brockton, but at the same time, we need to have our surrounding communities also share a little bit in this. Brockton has become a little bit of a, social service, we've gotten, I don't want to say dumping ground, but it's pretty much what we've gotten, and we need to, it's not just about getting more funding, but being able to help, the different community, the different, whatever it may be, we need to make sure that Brockton does its part and we're getting enough funding so it doesn't put a strain on our businesses and on our residents. So I would advocate definitely to bring in more funding, but we can't, we already have our fair share of social services.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Barnes?
Thank you. It goes hand in hand with having a tighter revenue stream. And the mayor said it before, we have a disproportionate amount of folks needing services that are here in the city of Brockton. And there are different kinds of things, the homelessness issue, the horrible drug issue, all of those things, they contribute to what's going on and the need for some of these social services here in the area. I agree with Councilor Azak that we need to make sure that we partner with our surrounding cities and towns to make sure that everybody's kind of getting their fair share. Brockton is known for, if you need something, Brockton has the resource, and you can go to Brockton, and, we're supposed to be a community like that, but not at our own detriment, not at our own downfall. So, and what I would do is I would make sure, first of all, that we would also, like I said, be more attractive to the businesses so that we can raise our revenue stream, so that we can maybe work with the state and work with what we get. If we're not in a position to get more funding that we should get, we need to make sure that we can balance it out and to work with the counselors, work with the budgets, and all of these things to make sure that everything kind of works in one direction so that nobody is harmed or to anyone's detriment. So.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cassidy?
Right, as I've been taught, the constituent is always right. I would definitely go into the Ways and Means, speak to the analysts, and see what funding we can provide for these services. As the governor said last night, he's looking to put more funding into that, as well as local aid too. So I believe that we definitely need to look into that, and I hope the constituent would give me a call.
Great. Thank you. Our next question, we're going to ask Ms. Barnes to take the lead on this one. Our next question is on workforce development. Currently, there are thousands of jobs available in the Commonwealth, while at the same time, there are thousands of Massachusetts residents looking for work. In some cases, the skills being sought don't seem to match the skills of those seeking work. Is skill development and career assistance key to solving this problem? Please explain to us what your plans would be once in office to address our workforce development challenges.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, partnering with organizations like the Urban League, they've never come into Brockton to do job fairs, to do skills training. They've never wanted to partner with anyone here because I think they just weren't aware of what we had to be able to give them in exchange for the services that they would be able to give us. So I think it's building those relationships, using my networks, my professional and my personal networks, and making sure that a lot of these things that may be outside of the city, that they come in and that they provide those resources to our residents. I said it before, we have a base right here. We have a workforce base right here. We just need to make sure that they are trained appropriately, and we can bolster Baywib and Sheila's department and her whole organization to make sure that they are also equipped to train folks for the 21st century jobs, that the training and the skills and what they need, that they match up so that these people can be competitive. And also with kids, make sure that the kids are as competitive as they can be as well, so that they can be successful in going into jobs and they can compete. So that's number one on my list, to work with the Urban League and have them start to come in. And as people start to see that, and as other organizations start to see that, they'll want to come here and they'll say, hey, Brockton has a ready-based workforce that we can draw on and get these people prevailing wages to help them in their homes, and to also boost our economy by allowing them to have disposable income, to go to stores, to do other things in the community. So it's all a formula.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cassidy?
We do have a built-in workforce development right here. I know, like I was saying, the governor last night in his State of the State said $75 million will be allocated towards workforce development in his budget. And as a state representative, his budget is coming out within 3 weeks, I believe it is. I would fight to keep those funds in there because we need to provide these jobs for the citizens of Brockton.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Azak?
Just like the other candidates mentioned, there is, we already have BAWIB here in the city, and I've actually spoken with the director, one of the directors there, and they're looking at different creative ways because times are changing. There are different needs of what areas people are looking what areas the business owners or what types of businesses have a call for workers. So they have, I spoke with one of them, and they said that they're looking to becoming more creative as far as what their training is. Maybe more, instead of the regular training, whether it's office work, to go to look into probably, like, for example, training sending them to school for hairdressing, or different types of creative ways to train the people of the city of Brockton. So they're trying to see where the need is, and whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in different types of hands-on types of jobs. They're looking to train them and to get them out into the workforce. So that's already in the process. I think just supporting the initiative and being there and advocating for them once again, and meeting with them and knowing what the needs are, and because times are changing and the needs are different. So just once again representing them and making sure that we know the issues.
Okay, thank you. I know this will be a tough question to try to answer in 1 minute's time. This is a tough constituent question, and this is almost like a job interview question. The constituent, this is on education and experience. This constituent wants to know, please tell us any additional information about your formal education and training, as well as your career experience and accomplishments that would be of importance to the audience. So, Mr. Cassidy, if you would start with that one.
My education, I went to Brockton High School, and from there I went right into the workforce. That's my education. I'm street smart, I would call myself. Other issues, I've been involved in numerous places here in Brockton, with soccer, football, all kinds of community events. I've done an awful lot of work in the community.
Okay, great. Thank you. Ms. Azak?
Thank you. I'm a proud graduate of Brockton High School. I'm a product of Brockton Public Schools from a young age right up through till I graduated. So I'm very proud of that. I went to, after high school, I had the opportunity to go study in Paris, France for college, and which, it was an experience. I studied business and fashion design, and I think life in a foreign country was all the education. I can't even imagine if I could have ever learned that just staying here in the United States. The biggest thing that I learned being there is appreciating home and our country and my city. So I really, I can't stress that enough. Even though I went away, it really made me want to come back and do what's best for the city of Brockton. After college, I did work for a while in Paris as a correspondent, assistant to an editor for a women's magazine. So I have that experience with, sorry, my time's up, but if you want to know more about me, please give me a call. I have no, so thank you.
Told you it was a tough question.
It is.
In 1 minute.
I looked up and time was up.
Ms. Barnes?
Because it's a tough question, I'm going to ask you to repeat it, Mr.
Okay.
Ledoux, please.
This constituent would like to know, please tell us any additional information about your formal education and training, as well as your career experience and accomplishments that would be of importance to the audience.
Okay. Well, Like my colleagues here, unlike my colleagues, I attended and graduated from Cardinal Spellman High School, and attended and graduated from Northeastern University, and went back for postgraduate studies, as Ray said in the introduction, in criminal justice administration. All the jobs I've ever had since graduating from college, I've had here in Brockton. I worked at the district attorney's office. I worked at the DYS right on Bolton Street when it was there, and DCF when it was on Mulberry Street. And currently I work for Congressman Stephen Lynch. So my current professional experience is with the federal government, knowing federal policies, knowing how to draft legislation, knowing how to work in budgets, knowing how to be in the company of legislators, going to D.C., knowing how to present and testify on the House floor, knowing how to communicate with different world leaders. I have relationships with several embassies because I do immigration work for Congressman Lynch. I'm the immigration specialist, so I have communication. I have relationships with several consular offices and embassies around the entire world. I also, in my position as city councilor, in the chamber, making sure that I hone my skills in presenting resolves, presenting orders. I've actually presented several recently with some programs, and I'm in communication now with the mayor's office, the procurement's office, the police department, and the law office, making sure that several of the positions and the proposals that I have made in last year, that they come to fruition for the betterment of the people of Brockton. So all of these things, I think, will make me a really good legislator and the most effective legislator at the State
Thank you.
House.
Tough question to try to accomplish in a minute. We'll let you fill in the gaps during the closing comments.
Okay.
But the next question is about English as a second language and the limited English proficient population that we have here in Brockton. And we'll ask Ms. Azak to provide the first response. There are currently over 1,000 Brocktonians on a waiting list to learn the English language. What do you propose the state should do to address this issue?
Well, I believe everything comes down to funding, so possibly seeing what's available to be able to offer more courses for the residents to learn more, to open up more classes for them to learn English. I know that that's a problem with the long waiting list. There's a lot of people just don't know where to go. We can also direct them in the right direction. There are some private places that offer English courses, so possibly just, but you asked me what the state would do. So I would say try to find funding to be able to get more courses here for them so they can take advantage of that.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Barnes?
Yes, you know, we have actually a lot of programs in the city of Brockton that offer ESOL, and the one that I know, I guess more personally, is the one that the Multicultural Center at Harbor One on Legion Parkway. My mom was actually a teacher there for several years. And I know that they have some programs at the Adult Learning Center. I know they have programs at several churches in the area and Catholic charities. And, you know, I would actually probably implore our mayor to take a look in his own budget to see if there's something that he can squeeze out with his new, I guess, recommitment to diversity in the city of Brockton by recommissioning the Diversity Commission, and maybe take a look and see if we can carve out a little bit of funding to pay some of the teachers or to make some rooms available so that folks can kind of jump that extra step and get English proficient. So I mean, I would definitely also just kind of maybe do it in-house and show our state delegation that we're doing it here so that we can, again, become more attractive, that if funding ever becomes available, somebody will say, hey, Brockton's already doing it. Let's give them a couple of $1,000s. Let's give them a grant so that they can expand their already successful program. So that's what I would do.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cassidy?
Thank you, Ray. Each year I've gone to the Adult Learning Center where the principal, Mrs. Martin, she's a wonderful person over there at the Payne School. And we go for the graduation. I've gone for the graduations a number of years. And wonderful people, and they're just itching to learn the language and, you know, go out and get into the workforce. And I applaud the mayor for his Diversity Commission stance. It's badly needed that we need to have that back reinstated. He's doing a great job in that aspect. As far as funding, I would definitely go into the Ways and Means and fully fight for the funding for the English as a second language.
Okay, thank you. The next question, we're going to ask Ms. Barnes to start with, but this is, again, on the casino. If there is not a casino, and we still have, obviously, the Brockton Fairgrounds,
Right.
how will you support the development of the fairgrounds in the event that a license is not issued for the construction and operation of a casino on that site?
Okay.
So, Ms. Barnes?
Okay. Well, I have a great relationship with the owner, Mr. George Carney. I have an open communication with him. I talk with him on the phone. He calls me. I call him. And I spoke with him initially about my position on the casino, and he called and he congratulated me on making a stand and being independent. We understand it's just business. So what I would do is I would work with him as a state legislator and to see what we can do to maybe have some kind of arena. I would love to see an arena on that particular site. My family and I, we went to Jacksonville in May, and we went to an arena football game, and it was the most fun that you could possibly have for a very small amount of money. Some of us, we can't get to Foxborough. We can't get, to the Garden to see these things, and that would be something that would be family-friendly. It would enhance the area, and I think it would also be a revenue generator unlike no other. And I think that we could also do something along the lines of a smaller kind of Foxborough Patriots Place with some shops. If we're going to argue that the casino is going to attract people with disposable income, we need to make sure that they get something from it. So if they can go there and they can shop and they can actually have something that they can bring into their homes, that would also benefit them and the families in the homes, and providing jobs. So I would do that. Sorry.
Thank you.
Time.
Mr. Cassidy?
This is a very tough situation because I'm very, very good friends with Mr. Carney. I grew up right next to the fairgrounds. We've been friends for years, and he's a wonderful man. He's provided an awful lot of resources and jobs for the citizens of Brockton. I know growing up in the neighborhood, he would always take care of the neighbors around here. If anything was to happen, if this was not put forward, then I know that he would have neighborhood meetings to ensure that the neighbors are taken care of. He's doing a great job for the city of Brockton, and I would look forward to working with him.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Azak?
Thank you. So Mr. Carney is a very well-known businessman in the city of Brockton, and I believe he believes strongly in this casino. So I hope for him that does come in and we are granted the license. I've heard a lot of things from different residents, whether it's somebody said, why don't we go into the biotech, industry or a water park there, but the decision's going to come down to Mr. Carney. He owns that land, and it's about what I would do is sit down with them and see who is knocking at the door, what opportunities do we have of bringing in a different type of business into there at the fairgrounds. I mean, that is the last large chunk of land that is left in the city of Brockton. We really don't have a lot of large lots. So it's really going to come down with him. So I would, once again, see what type of businesses are knocking at the door, and who we can bring in to make it profitable for him as well as for the city of Brockton.
Thank you. The next question is on the desalinization plant, and we're going to ask Mr. Cassidy to start with this question. What steps will you take as a state representative to assist Brockton with buying the desalinization plant per the will of the mayor?
As a state representative, I don't know everything as far as the desal plant goes. I've learned a number of things working in the state legislature. I would work with the mayor to see what his wishes were, and actually work with all parties, with the city council too, because they would have the final option of with the funding. That's what I would do, is work with the mayor and see what his options are, and I would work fully with him.
Great. Thank you. Ms. Azak?
Thank you. This is something that will be coming before the city council, so I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want anybody to feel that it affects my vote in any certain way. But I'm all about working together, whether it's with our mayor, whether it's with other legislators or a senator or whoever it may be. We have to work together. That doesn't mean that we have to say yes to the whole project, but maybe make sure that we are doing things in the best interest of the citizens of the city of Brockton and the businesses of the city. So I would never do anything that would cause us to to be in debt. So I would definitely, you know, work together to make sure that all the questions are answered and that we make the best decision.
Great, thank you. Ms. Barnes?
Yes, you know, being a member of the 11 Body Council, we do have a lot of the information that's been presented and a lot of the proposals that have been drafted. So, you know, I'll agree actually with my colleague, and as it's in negotiation right now, we're still trying to put those things together. But it's business, so whatever would be the best proposal and what would be the most beneficial for all the parties involved, that would be something that I would definitely take a look at and support.
Great, thank you. Our next question is going to be about the power production. We're going to ask Ms. Azak to take the lead on that. Researchers tell us that Massachusetts will require 20% more power in the next 10 years. What type of energy production will you support?
Well, there are different types of energy, and this is a trick question. I'm about supporting what is best for the community, something that does not endanger the community, whether it's for health reasons or environmental reasons. So as long as I research whatever project or whatever it is that may be coming to the city, as long as I feel that you know, doing my best to represent my constituents and the businesses of the city of Brockton, then I would support it.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Barnes?
Yes, I think the future, we're going green in the future. That's where we're going. And I think that we need to really actively take a look at some of our cleaner, greener energy sources. I don't know if really the windmill thing would work here, but I know that they work in other communities. And as I drive around the state, actually, and for different meetings and things, and I see these windmills, and they're all over the place, and then you see the community and how the benefit that the community has had off of those projects. We can definitely invest a little bit more into the solar projects. We have solar panel farms going up all over the city. Hopefully there'll be more projects for that. And that's something, as the state representative, I would advocate, and I would actually seek out some of these businesses to come and use some of our land, just open land, and redevelop some of those things so that we can get the spill off of the energy. We don't want to get crushed, you know, by the cost of energy here. And there are ways to alleviate that. Other people have done it. Let's, you know, not build a better mousetrap. Let's see what they're doing and duplicate it and make it fit for the city of Brockton. So I'm all for green, clean and green.
Great, thank you. Mr. Cassidy?
I think clean, reliable, and affordable are the ways to go. We have to look at all sectors. I know the governor last night he stressed the importance of the hydropower for our future. I believe that's the way we're going. We need to provide the energy of the citizens of Brockton and their surrounding towns. With the plant down in Plymouth, they may be going offline. We need to make sure the governor's proposal and work with him on funding all these future positions.
Thank you. Our next question is on public safety and public safety infrastructure, frankly. I think that we all agree that our courageous firefighters and police officers do everything they can with the resources they have and the infrastructure that they have. And this is about a public safety building. If elected, will you commit to help secure funds for Brockton to build a new public safety building, whether it be on the CSX freight yards or other similar sites in the city? And what will you do for that? And we're going to ask Ms. Barnes to start with that question, please.
Sure. I was actually not quite a surrogate, but maybe a fly on the wall on one of the meetings that my boss had with then Chief Conlon and Chief Francis and the district attorney when they were talking about the funding that they would need from the federal government and earmarks that they would need in order to get this project done. So this is not a new idea. They've been trying to do that. The various chiefs and the respective chiefs have been trying to do that for years here in the city of Brockton, understanding the need for that. I would definitely advocate, and again, using my relationships with Congressman Lynch and with the federal government and using the network that I have there to make sure that I can get ahead of some of these funding opportunities and try to earmark them for Brockton and using the resources that I would have at my disposal to make sure that we get those things. I definitely think it's extremely necessary, and also including the state police and some of the gang units, some of the other alphabet men, the FBI, the ATF, all of those guys, having them, the DEA, all of those agencies coming into the city of Brockton. And again, to make us a little bit safer, we have to take a look, too, at the possibility of how that, that message that we send out to the community as well. But I think we can do it, and I think we can do it effectively, and I would definitely advocate and use my resources to get that
Okay.
funding.
Thank you. Mr. Cassidy?
Speaking with Jay Ash last week, and he was telling me that Chelsea, downtown Chelsea, the FBI moved in downtown there, and it changed the outlook of Chelsea altogether. The people were very happy to walk downtown. I'm trying to do that same thing by having the DA's office move over to the federal building there. It's just the perception of state police driving up and down throughout the whole neighborhoods, coming and going. That would be a big influx for just the crime issues in the Brockton area. It would have an option of 75 state police from the Middleborough barracks move up here to Brockton.
Okay.
And that would create foot traffic too, and it'd be great for our neighborhoods downtown.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Azak?
Thank you. Actually, just a comment, I know I've heard a few times about the state police coming to Brockton. The state police have already had an existence here in the city for many years, and it is good to have them here work with our local, with the Brockton Police. As far as the question, would I support a public safety building? Yes, I would. We need one. There has been talk of one for many years. There was talk of putting it where actually Vicenti's is now. Vicenti's is absolutely beautiful, but there was talks years ago because that was right in the center of the city, and it was in a certain neighborhood, so it would have been great there. We definitely need it. I visited our police station. Our police officers need a better building than that. And as far as the firefighters, we need to make sure they have the good equipment to work with. I mean, so I would definitely advocate for a state-of-the-art building for them.
Okay. Thank you. All right, now shake all of the tough questions that you were just asked and relax, but this might be yet one of the toughest. This is on restaurants, okay? Are you ready? What is your favorite restaurant in Brockton and why? Okay? So I know our audience might have a view as well. So, but Ms. Barnes, what's your favorite one and why?
Wasn't it Mr. Cassidy's turn to go
Yeah.
first on that? Actually, okay. I have a minute. All right, I will take 45 seconds to think. I try to patronize all. I don't, I don't want to be that, oh, she's a politician answer, but it's true. Sometimes I feel like a mound, sometimes I feel like almond joy. And we have all of, that's the beauty of what we have here. We have all kinds of food choices. We have Brazilian, we have Cuban, we have Haitian, we have American Bar and Grill, we have JJ, all these places that if you're feeling a certain, when you wake up one morning and you want to have breakfast food, you can have that. If you want to have, American Bar and Grill, you can have that. If you want to have pub food, you can have that. So I'm not really in a favorite kind of mode. Anybody that knows me, when somebody they offer me something, I tell them usually I have to have a taste for it, like I have to taste it. So I'll go anywhere and they're all good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Cassidy?
I think after saying that, I think after this is over, I think we should all go to all the different restaurants in Brockton. On me. I think probably my two favorite ones would probably be the Cape Cod Cafe, one of the best pizzas in the city, and the Jamoulis family is just doing a wonderful job down there. And probably the second one, Tin Rays. Joe Murray does a fantastic job up at Tin Rays, and they're great owners, and they're good for the city.
Okay. I know it's a tough question. Ms. Azak?
Okay, well, I'm not going to disagree with with the other candidates. We have many, and many of them in Ward 7, and some are big names, and some are smaller, mom and pop shops. We have a lot of pizza places. For example, George's, Cape Cod, of course, Tin Rays. We have a lot of, and Home Cafe. But my favorite is JJ's, and the reason JJ's Cafe, and not only because it's in Ward 7, but because this business was built up from nothing. You go in there, and I've eaten all over the world. I've been to different restaurants, and you get quality in this small little place, and it's become a neighborhood spot. Like, everybody meets there, so that's why I have to say JJ's is my favorite. But I go everywhere, so I support Brockton.
Yep. I want to thank you for your answer, and I also think that anyone watching this, some of the restaurants who may not have been named, you may be given invitations to go and try their fare. So you should look forward to that as well. So I want to thank you. You've done a great job and answering all these very, very difficult questions, even the last one. And we're at the point of having, our closing remarks. And we ask that you give your closing remarks. And again, it was in order in which you drew your name out of the hat. And we ask that you keep this to 1 minute, if you would, please. And Ms. Azak, you were the winner once again.
Thank you. I'm used to going first, so I'm going to use a different last name next time. But okay, I'm the candidate who has your best interest in mind. You can see that by my voting history on the City Council and my involvement in the community, whether it's with the Business Association or the different cultural groups that make up our wonderful city. I have known many of these groups and worked with them for many years and will continue to do so at the state level by bringing their voice to the State House. Being multilingual, a small business owner, and a mom of 2 Brockton Public School students, I know the issues and will fight for our community. I work for you, the residents of the City of Brockton, and will do what is in your best interest. I'm Shirley Azak. I ask for your vote on Tuesday, February 2nd. Please contact me with any questions, or if you need a ride to the polls, I will give you my information. My phone number is 508-840-7957. I also have a website, which is www.shirleyazak.com, and you could always follow us on Facebook. We post a lot of things that we do. It's Shirley Azak for State Representative. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Barnes?
Okay, thank you, Ray. Again, thank you for all the attendees. Thank you at home for watching and taking the time to get educated about this race. This is a very, very important position to fill with the election of Michael Brady to the State Senate. We need someone that can work in a collaborative way with our current delegation. We need someone that can go into that State House on day one with boots on the ground and hit the ground running. We need someone who's been speaking with the top legislators in the State House to advocate for Brockton. We need someone that is going in there that has the relationships, that has the network, and so that there's no lag time in making sure that Brockton continues to get its fair share and more. We deserve it. I am your candidate. I am Shana Marie Barnes, currently City Councilor at Large, looking to earn your vote on February 2nd to be the next state representative for the 9th Plymouth District in Brockton. Again, if you need any further information from me, I also can be contacted via cell phone 508-680-6914. And I look forward to your vote February 2nd, Shana Marie Barnes, number 2 on your ballot. Thank you.
Mr. Cassidy?
Thank you, Ray. Over the past couple of months, I have been very humbled by the support of old friends as I seek to become the next state representative of the 9th Plymouth District. More importantly, I have been so fortunate to meet so many new friends and supporters as I go door to door. For this, I am grateful. I want to thank the individuals and organizations that have endorsed my candidacy, including more than 10 unions and organizations. For almost 30 years, I worked alongside Senator Tom Kennedy for the people of Brockton and the 9th Plymouth District. I was with Tom every step of the way, handling issues of schools, veterans, and elderly, and the good working people of the city of Brockton. I live and breathe this district. I know the people, the challenges, and what needs to be done for this district. Most importantly, I know how to get it done. I ask for your support February 2nd, and my phone number is 508-345-8660, and as Bill Belichick says, on to Denver.
Thank you, Mr. Cassidy. Well, as we wrap up, what I would do is like to thank our audience here for the great control that you've exercised here during this forum. I'd like to thank the viewers who will see this on cable TV. I'd like to thank our candidates for state representative, our Democratic candidates for state representative of the 9th Plymouth District. Shirley Azak, Shayna Barnes, and Jerry Cassidy. We would also like to thank Mark Lindy and the Brockton Community Access, the Brockton Enterprise, our Chamber's Government Affairs Committee, our Government Affairs sponsor, UMass, and especially Phil Carver of UMass, and our Chamber Board of Directors and our staff who has helped put this event on. We would like to remind you that the primary vote is on February 2nd, and no matter what happens in the election, the Chamber wishes each and every one of you the very best for your continued success. So thank you very much. Thank you.